Now, picture this. You're walking through Sephora and you see kids running around applying testing products all over their face. They're pegged as Sephora Kids. And the term is now the focus of a new bill that aims to restrict the sale of anti-aging cosmetic products like these to kids under 13. We spoke to a board-certified dermatologist, Dr. Brooke Jeffy, who's seen the harsh impacts on her young patients.
I have seen multiple times in my practice irritation from using products that are just too harsh for younger sensitive skin types. So leading to things like itchy, uncomfortable, red, flaking rashes, for example. That sort of reaction will subside when you remove the product and repair the skin barrier. However, we do wonder about the chronic use of some of these. Maybe they're not leading to the point where there is a rash or breakouts that prompt someone to stop, but they're still undergoing this kind of low-level irritation with a product that their skin does not need, and this influences how their skin barrier works.
How so? Well, Dr. Jeffy says one of the main issues is how these products are affecting young kids' protection from sun exposure. So, in other words, while kids may be using these products to prevent age-related changes, in reality, she says it's doing just the opposite. Joining me now is Assemblymember Alex Lee, representing San Jose, who authored a bill that aims to prevent kids from getting access to these very products. Assemblymember, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me on and spotlighting our important work in legislation.
Absolutely. Well, we just heard from Dr. Jeffy discussing why this is so important. Can you walk us through the requirements of your bill and how you see it being implemented?
Right. So very simply, we propose Assembly Bill 2491, which would ban the sale of anti-aging cosmetic products to children that are 13 years and younger. And as you've heard from an expert just before, is that ironically, the constant use of these products applied to a very young child's skin could actually result in long-term effects that could possibly be considered as aging, as more aged skin. It's actually really interesting is that for adults, the risks involved in taking these kind of products that have retinol and other acids in them could actually be more beneficial to them to reduce fine lines. But in younger folks whose skin is not quite the same as older people who have to worry about wrinkles and fine lines could actually have adverse effects and especially cause more irritation and even at worst reduce that skin barrier and have more exposure to sun radiation too. If it becomes prescribed as a dermatologist from adults or from doctors, that's a very different story. And that could be, of course, provided by the medical providers too.
Do you think social media sites should censor ads that promote these products to require something like a PSA for young kids?
Well, undoubtedly, social media has a strong effect on the way our brains think about it. Even as young people or adults, I think we're still susceptible to these trends and movements that occur there. But, speaking as the youngest legislator in the state assembly, I know how easy it is for young people to want to appear older, right? It's cool when you're young to want to feel older and feel like an adult. And then when we get older, we want to have as much baby face as possible, right? We want to reduce those fine lines. I think it's important that people understand the risks they have when they're getting products like this. And so that's why we don't want them to be so readily accessible and reduce this phenomenon of the Sephora Kids, where we have very young children running around buying these expensive products in the first place and really reducing that at the front end. I think it's okay to watch these things and enjoy them on social media, but to have these adverse effects possibly and potential harms come onto your skin without knowing the full effects could be quite harmful.
How do you actually see this bill being enforced? Do you see there being added guidelines for retail establishments? And I just touched on the social media sites a moment ago. What do you envision that plan to look like?
Yeah, right now the bill specifies simply that the sale is prohibited to those 13 and under, right? We give a lot of, right now at this moment, in the early stages of legislation, give a lot of room for interpretation for the retailers and for folks to interpret how that ban would be. We also modeled after the age of 13 because the the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA, was also the 13-year age, and that was simply a verification box. And how the retailers like Sephora or Ulta or a lot of places choose to implement this could be as simple as saying, hey, this product is not able to be sold to children, adults, or people only 13 or over should be buying it. So we really give a lot of interpretation to the establishments to fulfill the enforcement of it.
And what about social media companies, TikTok, Instagram, regarding those PSA guidelines we were talking about a moment ago?
Well, I think that's beyond the scope of this bill, and how we regulate and have PSAs or community notes on different things in social media is still something up for debate. But really, right now in the scope of the bill, it's outside that.
Okay. Would you consider implementing that at one point if, as the implementation of this follows through?
Well, it's something we certainly have to think about. I think about more so in the terms of social media landscape about what is truthfulness, right? We have a lot of discussion in terms to the truthfulness of information, of news and electoral things that are happening in the world. So it falls within a greater umbrella of free speech and how we figure out those kind of caveats. Something like that, I think, is in the big macro issues, but something like this, we want to be very targeted about the actual application. And when the kids get very enthusiastic about a lot of beauty products and cosmetic products that actually have no value, no health value to themselves, I think the most effective way of doing that is preventing the sale whatsoever.
Children have more sensitive skin than adults, thinner epidermis, their immune system still developing, and they have a faster skin cell turnover. All of this makes their skin more vulnerable to irritants. What have you learned about the impacts in Britain?
Yeah, so the British Dermatology Association actually does not recommend children be using this. And actually, there was a large Swedish pharmacy chain that has actually restricted the sale of retinol and these kind of products to children underage, under 15 over there as well. So this is the thing with it is these products for older adults are used for cell turnover. So basically, think about it like scrubbing off layers of your skin. That could be good because it promotes cell rejuvenation, but still, of course, there's potential harms for older adults. They can still have skin irritation. We've heard from constituent stories even that people still get a lot of irritation or even allergic reactions to these products. But on younger folks who their skin layer, if you just super simplify it, is thinner and weaker, that could have a big adverse effect and actually, just like Dr. Jeffrey's talking about, have more exposure to sun radiation and have more skin irritation in general as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, Assemblymember, we will continue following this, and we thank you for your time tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.